Hello, everyone. Welcome to Arcana Homesteading. We're your hosts, Sherry.
And Shauna.
And today we are discussing food forests.
I was like, am I seeing me in the mirror or the phone? But I'm seeing both. It's fine. Yes, food forests. So we have mentioned them before, but we wanted to get a little bit more in depth because they are really cool. And I definitely am planning to do one of my own. It does take some preparation and some planning. You can't just, like, I hate planning things out. Like, I like planning things out, but I hate planning, like, I just want to, like, do it, you know? I'm very, what's the word?
Spontaneous.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I just like to, I don't know. Like, I just want to, like, throw shit out there and just be like, ta-da, I did it.
Yeah, and with the food forest, it does take more preparation,
thoughtfulness,
and a lot of thoughtfulness. And so this, when you're going into it, if you are interested in this kind of, you know, type of gardening, it's definitely like a long term.
Stop that. She's mad.
It's a long term kind of thing. This isn't like, you know, 6 months. Like, it's not like that at all.
Yeah. So, like, most of the time, like, you won't be able to, you can harvest things within like a year's time, which isn't that long, but it can seem long, especially like going through all that work. You know, you want like immediate gratification.
Yeah, especially with the normal gardens. You know, you plant your fucking seeds, or you get your starters, and you get tomatoes, and then you know, like, it's pretty quick, you know, compared to this. And so, anyways, that's something, you know, going into it, you have to definitely, you're in for the long haul.
So before you get started, if you need about 1/8 of an acre, I guess I should back up. Okay, so food forests are basically, they emulate like forests, right, as their purpose. So like forests are a very, the ecosystem of like a forest, it works like very symbiotically, and it works very well because of like the canopy layers and because of like the ground cover and everything else. So you're basically trying to emulate an actual forest, just it's supposed to actually provide food for your family, and just basically like a garden, but to continue that, like, you know,
it becomes self-sustainable essentially.
Yes, and it's very low maintenance, actually.
Yes, and so there's different layers, correct?
Yes, so there's 7 layers to a food forest. And again, you're trying to emulate that regular forest because a forest environment, it just works so well. So like, why wouldn't we like emulate that? You know, it makes sense. Actually.
Yeah, like think of, any forest, but specifically like a rainforest. There's all these different layers, and they all depend on the next. And so if you think about that kind of, that's how I would think of it.
Yeah. So preparation-wise, and then we'll get into the 7 layers. But the preparation, she's just talking, and she's mad. She's mad. Sherry's baby has opinions now, which we're like, that is not allowed yet. It's not allowed. She's like, whatever. She's like, I have all kinds of opinions. I am female. She's like, give me your headphones. I want to say something. You hear her talking?
She is.
Hold her up to the microphone. Everybody went, you can talk into it. What are you talking about? We're gonna get you little microphones. It'd be so cute. Aw. It'd be so cute. Oh, yeah, headphones. Sorry, I keep saying microphones.
Yeah, you do.
Annie doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't. Yeah. You're just a baby, but you have lots to say, huh? Are you going to have your own podcast? Yeah. She's like, food forest is the way to go, people. She's all about it right now. She's smiling. She's like, yes. Are you a little hippie at heart? Yes, you are. She's like, my aunt is a Looney Toony. The way she looks at me sometimes, I'm like, you're judging me. It's rude.
I love how she watches you when you talk with your hands.
Yeah, she loves how I talk. Like, my hands are always like moving, and especially like when don't have like a microphone in front of me, my hands are just going all over the place. And this baby like watches me like, wow, there is a lot happening. Not sure what's happening, but it's a lot.
It's amazing.
Anywho, so we're kind of obsessed with the baby. Did you notice? we're all put the microphone. Let her talk into it. Everybody wants to hear it.
Everyone's like, where's the food forest info go? We're like, hold on.
Wait. Listen to the baby.
We're listening to the baby coo.
It's adorable. It is very cute.
It's adorable.
So before we get into the layers of the food forest, I want to say you need about 1/8 of an acre, but it can be up to as many acres as you want, right? It's not like you don't really have to limit yourself. Obviously, money is helpful, but it doesn't have to be in a crazy amount to feed your family. I would suggest going over where you're planning out your food forest, see what gets a lot of sun, just like you would in any kind of like garden, right? See where, like when it's raining, where the water's pooling. I know I've mentioned that before, but just kind of like really get a feel for the different seasons and everything, because that's all going to affect how your food forest is growing. So the first layer of the 7 layers is the canopy layer. And so that can be like your tall trees, like your walnut trees. Walnut.
I love how Sean says
I know.
walnut.
I was like, I can't say it like walnut. A normal human. How do you say it?
Just walnut. Just wall.
What do I say?
Nut. You say walnut.
Walnut.
Like you're saying wool, like
walnut.
From a sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you say it. It's very
funny. How
funny.
am I supposed to say it? Say it again.
Walnut. Just walnut.
Walnut.
It's like it's like you're speaking English for the first time. Walnut. Remind me of like Wally. And
Wally.
Wally.
Oh, I can remember that. I can remember Wally. But see, I'm just gonna say it slower. Be like
walnut. They're gonna be like, what the fuck?
I can't say it normally.
No, they're gonna look at you like, oh, okay.
I think my phone turned off.
God damn your phone. What is wrong with it today?
I don't know. Do you want me to fix it? Try to fix it?
Well, you should try.
Okay.
But I'm not the food forest,
I'm a calamity is what I am.
You are a calamity.
Talk about something.
Talk about, what should I talk about? My cute baby? I don't really know a lot. Remember, you were going to talk. I was asking questions. You put it on the button. Okay.
See, Lexi, your thing worked. Tell Lexi your thing worked.
I know, Lexi, your mirror just saved us from not recording. Like, good job. I mean, we haven't been recording, but we did see it. Yes, and baby's excited.
So thank you, Lexi, again for your mirror.
I know. Thank you so much for your mirror. That's amazing. Like, look at that. We used it how it was meant to be used.
No, it doesn't. It's not working. I don't know what to do.
Okay, it's fine.
I don't know.
Okay, no video for you or anybody. Mirror, no mirror.
I need to apparently. Delete. Apparently, I need to go.
No, you know what we need to do.
What?
You know what we need to do. We just need to get just a fucking
cam.
Yes,
like
yes, a video
camera.
Something.
Do they still have those?
Yes. What the fuck? Yes, of course they do.
Oh, look, but the mirror is very.
Why do they still have those?
Still.
How do you think they get on? Everyone gets on. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
That was the weirdest thing ever.
I don't know. It's just like little, like I can just picture like the old school like
no,
camcorders.
That's not what it is anymore. No, it's not what it is. It's not what it is.
But that's what I picture.
Yeah.
So
we should tell Mom we need one. Be like, Mom, do you want to? We know you
already support us even more.
We know you're already supporting us in every way possible, but you want to support us even more.
She's gonna be like, no.
She's gonna be like, how much?
I just fed you dinner.
A hearty dinner too.
Anywho, so I have to delete a bunch of things on my phone or something. It just hates me right now. I don't know what to do. But so first layer is your canopy. So taller trees, think big trees, right? Anything that's gonna get very large, but you can still get food from. Okay. Even some of like your the orange trees and stuff, they can get pretty tall, but you don't. So then because the next layer down is your sub canopy, and so that's more of your like dwarf citrus, anything like that's not going to get as tall, but still like a taller tree. But it is like a lot of your
preference.
Yeah,
what you would like to put,
and that's the other thing too. Think about what your family eats. You know what? You are disruptive now. It was cute for a minute. It's no longer cute.
She's talking to whatever on that table. It's
no longer cute. Nobody likes it.
Yeah, but just like in a normal garden, you would plant, what your family eats, and that's what would be in your food forest, and nothing.
Oh, wow, I do got a lot louder.
Nothing. Don't plant shit that you're not gonna eat. Obviously,
especially like trees. Like they're gonna be around if you're if everyone's allergic to. Walnuts.
Wow, you did it. Look at you.
I was like, well, Sherry has to say it first. But then obviously you shouldn't plant that. So
I want you to go back to saying walnuts. It's adorable. So don't ever correct yourself. It's like you're one of my kids. You know, your kids have like a
Yes.
phrase or a word
Yes.
they totally like
Yeah.
fuck up on. You're like, I'm never correcting you.
I know.
No.
And then they go to like not school, but like, or at least our kids don't, but like they go
Yeah.
to like their
Around the other peers,
around
and
other,
their
and
kids
they're
are like,
why
"Why
are you saying it like that? And they're like,
that?"
Mom, is this how it's really said? I'm like, no.
It's how you say it. You say it perfectly.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Stupid kids.
Okay, so first canopy layer, taller trees. Second layer, shorter trees, your dwarf trees. There's lots of them for your sub canopy. And then the next layer is the third layer is going to be your shrubs. So like a lot of like the mulberries, lots of berries, which I feel like most people like berries are where it's at.
I mean, with me, yes. I am a fan. My kids are fans. I love berries.
Yeah, so mine too.
Yeah.
So the blueberry bushes get like pretty big, you know, or they can. Lindenberry. So yeah, all of your berries. Plant them everywhere. So that would be
Plant them everywhere.
That would be the third layer. And then the next one is I always say this wrong. Herbaceous? Herbase? I can't say it.
I don't know what you're
Say
even
the
trying to
word.
say.
That layer.
So all your herbs, like tall, like not super low lying, but
Yeah.
some stuff that's going to grow a little bit tall, but not like tall like a bush or a shrub.
like your echinacea. Okay, so things that.
She fussy.
So
Okay,
again,
you keep talking. I'm going to go give her to.
okay, so I know like you think food forest and you think directly food, but things that can also be useful as in like medicines and stuff like that. So like echinacea, like you're not going to just go out there and pull the leaf off and eat it, but you can use the flowers for like medicine, right? So you can think about that in your layers too. Like you can add in the things that you can use in cooking, like the different herbs and stuff like that. So yeah, your taller plants, not like the really low like ground cover herbs, because that's in the next layer. So this layer, the little taller ones. But the ground cover can be a lot of things, right? You can plant some of the ground covering herbs, like your what's the one? I was gonna say what's the green one, but there's lots of green ones. Wow, my brain right now. Okay, moving on. Or like wild strawberries is a great one, because like the strawberries, especially like the wild variety of strawberries, they will just go everywhere. They'll like go everywhere without a problem. But you can do different kinds of ground layer or ground cover, but it is very important for the overall, like for the soil and for everything else. So like I said, everything is like the symbiotic relationship, and so the soil will be better. You'll retain more water within a food forest. You don't have to water as much. It's low maintenance. You don't have to like prune or anything like that as much as you would in like how you're out in a garden all the time. It's just not as work intensive. So the sixth layer is all your root crops, and so anything, carrots, parsnips, onions, anything that is going down and kind of like breaking up the soil a little bit is great for that layer. And then your last one is your vines. So the vining layer, instead of like putting things for them to vine up, like passion flowers or whatever vine you have, even like raspberries would technically work as a vine as well. You can put them around your taller trees, and they can vine up the trees, and they still it's still going to help the tree with, the vine's going to, or the tree's going to support the vine, right? And then in turn, like everything is like helping each other. The different flowers and the different things that you plant in the different layers are going to attract different beneficial like bugs and things like that, to where it again, it's just all helping each other. So I am super excited about planting, like getting started on our food forest, but the thing that's really holding me back right now is the area that I want to plant it in. I have to put up a deer fence, because the deer are just like crazy, and they will definitely come in, and even if like I don't mind sharing with them, they won't even let me like get started. Anytime I plant anything, they would just eat it, especially in the summer months when everything's like dry and there's no like greenery. They are definitely going to chow it down. So, with that being said, my first step for me personally would be putting up a deer fence where I want my food forest to be, which I already have it like fenced off, but it's just not deer fenced off. So, and it is a pretty big area. It does get a lot of sun. Again, you have to think about like how big your trees are, how many trees you can fit in that area, right? Because depending on how big they get, that will depend on, how many trees you can fit. They say you can fit about 500 trees per acre. But again, I think that would highly depend on the type of tree.
Yeah.
Look, Sherry's back.
Sorry, kids were hungry.
So me, I'm doing like the deer fence. I would start with my ground cover and my tall trees first. Those would probably be the first things, would be the trees and the ground cover that I would plant, and then I would kind of fill in with my vines. What happened?
I don't know. What was that?
Oh, it was my battery. It's like, it's low and it's gonna die.
Oh, okay.
And you should consider plugging in your device. That's what it said. Also, what's happening? We're all like, our phone's dying, our computer's dying. We're just not having a great time.
Are you gonna plug it in, or we're gonna wing it?
I don't think we should wing it. I should probably plug it in. There's a little thing right there. I can do it. Talk about gardens. Food forests. 500
yes.
trees per acre.
500 what?
I said 500 trees per acre, but that just seems insane.
What the fuck? No. I mean, what kind of trees are we talking here?
Exactly.
No, you can. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, that would be like, you wouldn't be able to like walk.
I love trees. Don't get me wrong.
No, I love trees. I'm not saying you shouldn't plant 500 trees per acre. I'm just saying like, you probably would. Yeah, no, I don't think you could fit 500 trees in an acre, and that seems really excessive. I don't think that you would need that even, or want that, because you need other things. This is like a layering type of shit, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So like, you couldn't have, because you also have to remember, whatever is underneath your trees still needs some sort of sun. So
well, yeah, that's exactly why you have to really be careful about how you plan it out.
Well, and 500 trees per acre. I mean, they would be
insanity.
completely shaded everywhere underneath.
Yeah.
them. There's
So,
no way.
I mean, a lot of plants do like a little bit of shade, don't get me wrong. And some
Yeah.
more than others.
Yes,
right?
yeah, for sure.
I my brain has turned off since we did our last episode. I was like
Has
trying
it?
to, yeah. I was trying to, like, when you were gone, and I know I get like a little bit of anxiety when you leave me, but like.
Just out of the room. Just like, I'm going to give my baby to my other daughter.
Yeah. But I was like,
You're like, deep breaths.
I couldn't think of other ground cover besides wild strawberries. I was trying to think of like, I still can't think of it.
I don't know all the names, but I can see them all in my head.
No, yes, it's an herb. It like oregano. Fuck. Shut up. It's not even that difficult.
Oregano. And then what's the other one that grows? It's indigenous, grows wild, super good for you. It's like has these little itty bitty green petals.
Indigenous, grows wild.
I almost had the name. God damn it.
Little itty bitty.
And it's good for
petals.
you. It's like, it's good. It's like medicinal.
Chickweed. Chickweed?
That's not it, but that's another good one.
That's another good one. And that's the other thing that you should take in consideration. You don't have to rip out all of your indigenous plants. A lot of them have great medicinal benefits,
yes.
or you could eat them. It's like salad, like the miner's lettuce.
Yes.
I would definitely not, if there's miner's lettuce growing, I wouldn't be all like, well, ripping that out and putting something else in. Why? I can eat that.
Because here's the thing, and I know that obviously this is obvious to me, but might not be obvious to everyone. Whatever is indigenous on your property, it's going to grow the best there. That's obvious, right? Because it's indigenous.
Common sense.
And obviously, if it's growing, then it knows what it's doing. It barely needs any help from you. Probably actually no help at all.
Right.
It might be a little bit invasive towards other plants if you are trying to grow like wild strawberries and that kind of shit. But besides that, I mean, that's what I would do. Like, I would utilize a lot of your indigenous, especially for ground cover and that kind of shit. Obviously, when it comes to trees, you only have certain trees that are indigenous. You know, we have
that are edible.
Oak trees that are edible. Exactly.
Like, I mean, you can eat the acorns, but it's like, I mean, you're obviously, it's not as like, you can use acorns, but it's like the whole like the process trees. And stuff. It's not. It's not going to be as like. But the other thing is, I wouldn't chop down a tree in my food forest that was already there. I wouldn't be all like, well, this isn't providing me any food, so I'm going to chop it down.
No, because you can utilize that shade from that tree directly underneath it for your...
It's probably been growing longer than you've been alive, so just leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. It's rude. But you can utilize it. Think of it as giving whatever, oh, I need to grow this ground cover, or I want to grow this herb, whatever. Oh, and it happens to like a lot of shade, so I'm going to plant it right under this tree. Mm-hmm. One thing you do have to consider, though, and we just had this happen to one of our big, huge oak trees, is oak trees specifically, any tree, again, that's indigenous on your property, they get what water they need from Mother Nature. If they get any more than that, they most likely are going to rot from the inside. And so we had a big tree in between my boys, my older boys, in between both their houses, okay, essentially. So this big tree, and because of how things were built over there, we didn't build, well, my grandparents built it. It's right up against some like cement, like a cement little pathway. And then they planted an orange tree, a little like a dwarf orange tree above it on a hill. Well, obviously when you're watering that dwarfed orange tree, water's going to trickle down to that oak tree. And sure enough, it did end up killing it. And so
because oaks do not need a crazy
they
amount of
do
water.
Not need, yeah, exactly. They don't need a lot of water. I mean, they get whatever they need.
They are drought tolerant for sure. Like 100%. They live through the summer, no problem.
No problem at all. And so this one, luckily both my husband and my older son work in like tree service. And so they're able to like recognize like what a dying tree looks like. Good. And sure enough, they chopped it down and they did a really good job and no one was hurt or harmed or killed. So that's great. And then they could, yeah, right. It was really, really tricky because of being
how
between
it was
where it was like
yeah.
super, super crazy tricky. But my husband was so proud of himself. Even the boys, they're like, God damn, we did such a good job. I'm like, well, I'm glad. I'm very glad. But when they cut the tree down, you could literally just scoop the inside out with your hand.
I know.
Just like
I saw
scoop
the video.
it out.
It was crazy.
It's just insane. And so take that into consideration. If you are going to do a food forest, you can't overwater any of your indigenous trees. And if
for the
most part, exactly.
Depending on your climate, where you're at, what trees you have. Some trees.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Pine trees? Yeah. What are
Yeah. Pine trees. Yeah, exactly. No, they love all that excess water, right? Because they're so used to it. Because being in that, like, that snow level.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, oak trees, like, no.
Bay trees?
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Sherry. Look at you. See, this is why I need you in here. You're trying to
you're
your baby. Like,
you're welcome.
Like, having anxiety, can't think of the word oregano. Like, what's wrong
and
with
Shauna,
me?
when we were discussing what topics we're gonna do for this episode, she's like food forest, and I don't know anything about food forest, and I was like, okay, I mean, it'll be boring to me, but that's fine. But it wasn't boring. It's fun.
See, you did it, and you put an input. We don't want it. No, it's not.
She's super fussy.
Just take it away.
Walk it.
We're almost done.
Yeah, walk it, Dea. Walk it.
Walk it. Bump it, Dea. Dea doesn't want to bump the baby. We call it bumping, like just like, or like it was Sherry's husband. I think we said it on an episode.
Yeah.
But Sherry's husband thought of like the term or came up with it, or I don't know. He's English is his second language,
exactly.
and so he was like, you gotta bump it. So now everybody says like to bump the baby, which just means to be to like, you know how you kind of walk around and kind of like up and down, shake the baby a little bit. Don't shake your baby.
I think it is kind of bumping, but like
bumping.
It's so funny, like bump it.
Now like makes perfect sense. Now I'm like, you gotta bump it.
You gotta bump
like,
it.
what are you talking about? You're like, gotta bump it.
You're like, bump it. Dea just flipped me off when she went out the door. Like just her hand came back through the door, and she was like,
she mad.
So funny.
She mad.
She's
mad
fine.
Teenager.
Yeah.
Anywho, so what was I thinking though? Right before you said that, you're talking about trees.
So you got past the tree layer. You got past the shrub. You got past
I did all the layers, but
okay.
I am super like the trees that are on my property. I'm very much like attached to them, and I feel like just like I take care of my animals, I'm meant to like I'm like the shepherd of my trees. You know, I have to take care of them.
Oh yeah.
And so whenever
you lose a tree, it's very, very sad. Or you have to cut one down. Like, we don't cut trees down just willy-nilly.
But, like, the people that cut them down because, we're worried about the roots are going to, destroy our driveway, then so be it, okay? Your driveway is going to be destroyed. Like, you shouldn't cut down. The trees have just been there for so long, and they provide so many, like, homes for so many animals. I hate seeing people just so willy-nilly about cutting down trees. Like, if you can save a tree, save it. Just like you would any like animal that you would have. You wouldn't just be all like, fuck it. Like, I guess some people are like that, but for the most part, right?
Well, it is hard though on playing just the devil's advocate here. I do agree with you, but it is hard. Like, it's hard to say if it's gonna take out your driveway, it's gonna take out your driveway. I mean, driveways are expensive. Concrete's expensive, and if you genuinely don't have it,
don't have a driveway.
I'm just saying.
Have if fucking like here it's
dirt.
It's fucking
well, like
dirt
I need cement down to my house, right? Like
we don't have cement down to your house.
We don't, but we should.
But you don't.
But we
but
should.
It works.
And my car is,
it
anyways.
Works.
I'm just saying, it's not like if you have to cut a tree down for specific reasons. I just think that it's good to err on the side of caution and not cut as much as you possibly can, for sure.
Yeah. I don't think you should be going in there and just cut.
Like our neighbors across the street, they moved in and they cut a bunch of trees down. And I was like, oh, it's the first thing you do, huh? Just sad.
That's like, a lot of people, though, especially people that move up from the city that are so used to open spaces. They think everything has to be open. And it's really the opposite. And it's really, you're only like hurting yourself. It's just like, I know people think like trees and it's going to fall on our house or whatever. But it's like those trees are providing shade and they're making your house cooler or, and they're providing all kinds of things.
No, it's nuts what happened over across the street. So they cut down all these trees. And because of that, and then obviously they have horses. And so the horses have just made the ground very whatever. We've had a ton of water runoff from that hill, like way more than we've ever seen in the whole 8 years we've been living here. And now the culvert then got all clogged up because of the dirt runoff. Because
you see?
No, it has been, and you should see the fucking huge divot that you have to go over to the left.
You have to be so careful.
If you don't know it's there and it's nighttime and you miss seeing that, you are fucking your car up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is like a divot, like
literally
point, almost.
People,
I want to say it's more than a foot deep.
It's crazy. It's
it
crazy
is so
how much
bad.
like
and
that
our
road's
whole
just gonna like wash away one day.
Fucking entire road, and all because these trees were chopped down, and then plus and horses are really hard on land. You know what I mean? And so all of the ground cover that would hold back water. That all has been taken down. And so just massive water, just crazy.
So I definitely be aware of what you're doing. Don't just do it all willy-nilly. Don't take out a mass amount of trees when you move onto your property. Open spaces are not where it's at. It's not.
Well, and if you do have like chickens, if you have that are free ranging, I mean, they take cover under those trees. And it's like those are going to help them like live and survive. Plus lots of other things. And so it's like, yeah, no, it's not where it's at to take down a ton of trees.
People like automatically kind of like want those open spaces for some reason. It's like in their head like, open space. And I'm like exactly the opposite. When I see open spaces, I'm like, ew. I want trees. I want the trees provide so much character and just everything. Life.
I don't know.
It's like life in general. It's like that's how we breathe, people.
That's how we breathe.
Anyways,
don't cut it down.
Getting back to food forest. So definitely it's going to depend on your area and your climate on like what you can grow. Again, it's based on what would be your family really likes, but you can at least in my opinion and from what I have read, you can feed your family way easier from a food forest for a longer period of time than you can just a seasonal garden.
Well, yeah, it makes sense because this food forest, what I'm gathering from it is that it's like I said earlier, it sustains itself after a while, right? Pretty quickly.
Yes.
And then it just keeps on giving and giving and giving and giving. And that whole time it's like you're not having to do a ton of work. Whereas
you don't.
I feel like a seasonal garden is the exact opposite.
Yes.
It's like you're putting in quite a bit of work and it's giving you food, but only for a short amount of time.
You even water it less. Like it takes less water because of how it's set up.
Because of the different layers.
It retains water away better than like
more
a
efficient.
Garden. Yeah, it's just more efficient in every sense of the word.
Exactly.
And so people, I think it's just not as popular of a thing because it is not. Food forests don't look as like attractive.
Well, and it's also not as popular because of what we talked about in the very beginning, the time. People
I know, but once you put in that time, you're good.
Right.
Like you might have to replant some of like the annual things like echinacea and stuff like that. It's not going to, it's going to die back and it might not come back the next year. Sometimes it does if you're lucky, but for the most part, you have to replant your fucking echinacea, I know some people, they're like,
I think most people, though, want the instant gratification. You know what I mean? Of like getting back very, very quickly. And like what a seasonal garden does. The other thing, though, is some people just might not have the space.
No, that's totally true. Yes, in like 10 minutes I'll be there.
Yeah, so the space could be, a real factor. Obviously, if you don't have it, you don't have it.
I'm definitely still going to have both. I'm still going to have my vegetable seasonal garden that I get my tomatoes
but
and
you
stuff.
have 5 acres.
But then I do. And then I'm going to have my like food forest area. But I just, to provide my family eats like a ton of, like, we use nuts for a lot of things, like to have those trees that have, like, we do have an almond tree. It's very tiny because the deer keep eating it, because again, I do not have a deer fence around my property. We planted it. It's how old now? Almost 12 years old. It should be way bigger. We get like 1 almond a year, but damn, that almond is good. It's a good.
Do you cut it up into like 4s? Each one of your family members
so
gets like an itty bitty piece.
You're just all like, it's just weird that a fresh almond is that much better than like.
Well, obviously, I mean, that's like fresh tomatoes.
But like you wouldn't think like it's an almond. Like you're just like, it's just an almond.
Anything fresh is better.
Oh, it's so good. And you're just like, that 1 almond we get, yes. So anyways, so obviously it does take an amount of preparation, but just like your vegetable garden, I feel like it's not.
Well, I feel like you said, I feel like doing both would probably be the best bet for someone if you have the space
and the time.
I feel like, and the time,
and
all
the money.
The things, yeah.
And it's not for your food forest. I know like Sherry was saying, like the instant gratification is definitely like where it's at. Like who doesn't like that? But like you don't have to like, okay, like this has to be done in a year. You can get like, I can only afford to get 5 trees throughout the year and plant them, and then I'll have to get another however many next year. So it's not like it has to be done. Like you can be like, have in mind, I want this eventually to be my food forest, right? And so you can start building it that way to where eventually it will kind of be like so easy to take care of itself. You won't have a lot of maintenance. The thing I was going to say earlier, though, I think a lot of people really kind of don't like them when you're looking up pictures and stuff, because you can look up layouts online. That was the other thing I wanted to say, of like food forest layouts.
Yeah,
that's another word for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they're not super like, they're not like groomed, right? Like a garden or.
Yeah, I feel like most people's gardens are, it's pretty groomed, and you keep things in boxes,
yeah, you don't
right?
keep things,
and so like
there's no paths.
Things very much have like a space that they're meant to be in, and they're not meant to be in other spaces.
Like it's very wild, for the lack of a better word.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people like that. I think people are kind of like that because like your berry bushes and things like that, they're just gonna grow. Your trees are just growing, vines and things. They're working together, and it is beautiful in a sense, but it's not going to be all like, look at that. It's just gonna be all like, oh, well, we have to, it's a wild area. It's a forest.
Yeah, it's like what I would envision. It's like shop. A normal garden is like walking into Target when it's all like super like things are where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And like a food forest is walking into like eco thrift, like a thrift store.
Yes,
essentially.
Exactly.
Everything just everywhere. You don't know what the fuck is going on, and you're like, where am I?
Yeah. And then if you know the thrift store well, you'll be like, oh, here it is. I can find this over here.
You gotta,
That's
true.
But and then the other thing is too is how you plant things. So depending on how many acres you have, right? And if you have like if you're planting a lot bigger food forest, you should plant the things that you want often, right? Closer to your house. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like you're not going to be having to truck back every day because you know that you're going to want those raspberries, but they're all the way in the, depending on how big it is. If it's a smaller food forest, it doesn't really matter, but it's scale wise,
right.
Think about that. And then also you can think about
when
you're planting, do it. There's certain berries or certain everything. I'm just still on berries. Apparently I want some, that they come up at different times of the year. So you could technically have berries all throughout the year, different varieties, mind you, right?
Yeah.
But you could technically have them all year long if you're really into that. You just have to plant the different varieties and really research if those ones will, if you can grow those in your climate. So another thing to think about is the different types of things. Like you don't have to be like, oh, well, I can't have that now until next year. There's different things that grow at different times. So it's definitely possible. So obviously a lot of research will go into it. If I ever start getting into it, once I get my deer fence up and I start getting into it, I'll try to
Pass on your wisdom.
Yeah, as much as possible. But super cool way to grow things. Super cool way to.
Yeah, very cool. A very cool form of gardening. You know what I mean? Like very different and very, very unique. And it could be, right up some people's alley, as far as, like you said, there's being a little bit more wild and free, a little bit more, like initially I think like there's a ton of thoughtfulness and a ton of preparation you have to do. But then
it pays off.
It totally pays off because you're not having to do. Like, could you imagine if you started a food forest? Imagine what it would look like in 10 years.
Oh, like you should see this one. I think I forget his name. Which
I know
horrible.
10 years seems like a long time, but it really is not a long time.
No.
And imagine being able to your kids come over and you're like, okay, let's go into the food forest and collect all.
Even in 3 years, 4 years,
that's so cool.
The what you will get back from it is amazing, and the fact that you don't have to put in a lot of like time and energy into it once it's established,
right?
Like, come on.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
You've almost talked me into it, to be honest.
I know. It's such a great.
I'm trying
way.
in my head to figure. I'm like, where would I do this?
Like and some people have even looked at like an orchard, like an old orchard, and then they built it up from there.
There you go.
So there's lots of different ways to do it. There's lots of different layouts and things that you have to take into consideration. But if you have the space, if you have the ability, I would highly, highly recommend at least doing. And you don't have to, if you're planning like I want this whole acre to be it, you can do it in sections.
Yeah.
I'm going to build up this corner for how it should look with all the layers, and then do this side and then this side. You don't have to do it all at once because that can be overwhelming.
Well, that would be very overwhelming to do a whole
small
acre.
space
exactly.
at a time.
Well, especially when you talk about like money, like plants are fucking expensive, trees are expensive,
right?
And time's expensive, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like
time is money.
Do it in sections. That's a great tip.
Yeah,
I love it.
Anywho, that's all we have for today. Hopefully, sorry we don't have a video. We suck at. Well,
I'm telling you, we have to stop. We have to stop using our phones. That's
our downfall.
That's our downfall.
But we did know that it was off, so we didn't have to get up and be like, fuck. Thanks, Lexi.
I mean, we just had to say a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I just need to wipe my phone. But anywho, so we want to give a shout out to our top tier patrons over on Patreon. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. It's Porch Talk with Our Kind of Homesteading. Our link tree will be in the show notes. Sherry's going to do that today because she's awesome.
Yes.
And then so shouts out to Lexi C. We always mention her, but thank you, Lexi. Tegan, she's one of our newest top tiered members, so thank you, Tegan. The next tier we have Maddie and Megan. You guys are amazing, and our mom. We love you guys. It's as little as $3 to sign up. If you want a shout out, it is a little bit more, but $3 and you get one episode plus a bonus episode. We do fun bonus episodes. We do one a month. We do like what are we calling it? Monster Monday. So some kind of like legend or spooky tale that we've heard of that we want to pass on that we thought was cool. I'm like childlike wonder, so I like believe everything, and Sherry's always skeptical, so it's kind of fun like to go back and forth. But they are super exciting, and so please go check that out if you can. And other than that, thank you everyone for listening.
Yes. And you will hear us next time.
We will see you. No, you'll see us. Maybe not. Bye, guys.
Bye.